and licensed it out to Entrepreneur on YouTube. So
Mhm.
literally on the exact same platform, the exact same content, just got literally copied and pasted it and made a bag.
Wow. Feeling nice.
Yes, sir. Oh, and you ready to pod, bro?
Yo, I can't believe we lost to the Pistons, man. Jeez. That's like, we always lose to Dwayne Casey. Remember Dwayne Casey when he
Bro,
coached us?
when was that? I don't even. That was a
Before,
while
like,
ago.
so he got fired. Then Nick Nurse got promoted. Then we got Kawhi.
Yeah.
So Nick Nurse was the assistant. It was the assistant to
Oh
Dwayne
yeah.
Casey. Then Casey got
right.
sacked, and then Nick Nurse took his job. Then we won the championship. Like, just take that in, bro. You build up this
I remember
program.
Dwayne
Yeah,
Casey.
bro. And there's this whole thing about black coaches in the NBA. It's like they always do like the groundwork, like the nitty gritty. They build up the whole squad, and then, you know, once the team gets to like a championship level, they bring in like they fire him. They bring in like another white coach to like finish the job. He gets all the credit. Example: Steve Kerr, Warriors. Mark Jackson. He made Clay and Steph. Like, he kind of put that confidence in them. Team was trending. They fire him. Boom. Steve Kerr gets the job. Warriors start the dynasty. And think about
It's
it.
funny as
All black coaches, they always get the shitty jobs. Like the worst teams. They always get rebuilding situations. Dwayne Casey went to Detroit. Bickerstaff. Who's another word? John Silas in Houston. I know you don't know these guys, but yeah, bro, they always get like the bad end of the stick. And then taking a guy like Steve Nash, never coached in the league before, then gets the the Brooklyn Nets job with KD, Kyrie, and James Harden.
wow.
Do you think an uncoached,
Super team.
unproven coach, black coach, would get such a position like that? Like, you've been given the keys to a Ferrari and you can't drive it like a Toyota. That's what it is. You know?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, nah, most definitely not. It's funny you mentioned that. Kayla Gray. Shout out to Kayla Gray. We should get her on the pod. Shout out to Kayla Gray.
Yeah, she's out here representing.
Dwayne Casey is now 8-3 against the Raptors since being fired. A combined 5-0 over the last 2 seasons. It's been personal.
Yep.
You know what I'm
And
saying?
you know the thing is, Dwayne was mad when Nick Nurse didn't even reach out to him to, like, after he got fired, never spoke to him, never say, hey, Dwayne, man, so sorry you got fired or anything like that. He just kept it moving, right? So take it in, yeah.
Wow.
Like, not even say, man, sorry to hear that. I know I'm taking over. He just kind of took over and never said anything to Dwayne. So it's been personal. And I'm kind of happy for Dwayne Casey, man, because I was like, I loved Dwayne Casey. Gave like good quotes after the media. I always liked his media stuff. You know, he was like a pops to me, bro. Like, I was like, wow, like the way he spoke, just like, it's like, yo, that's pops. And yet,
Oh, he had that like pops thing, just like Uncle Phil,
Uncle Phil, motivator, you
young
know,
old
building up.
Bill Cosby.
Yeah, had the pops
Unfortunately.
walk too, you know, like just
Got
everything.
Got you. But one thing we are not is a sports podcast. You get what I'm saying? So let's get into the thick of it, bro. Welcome back to the Hustle Over Everything podcast. This is a podcast where we receive stories, tips, and tactics from entrepreneurs who have done it. Today, we have a podcast where we're breaking down the top 4 trends for 2022 when it comes to marketing. We're talking about 4 trends in marketing specifically today, guys. But first, yo, Owen, what's good with you, bro? What's poppin'? How you doing?
It's Friday night and I feel alright. Right? That's how I'm feeling right now. The party's here on the west side.
Oh my god.
So I hit for my 40 and I give it up. Yo, Alex, you know what? For me to be this happy after what I've just gone through the past 20 minutes is actually a revelation, bro. Guys, if you're podcasting and you're trying to set up a webcam, once you set it up once, make sure never to change the settings, or maybe even just write down the steps, because right now it might look like a bean if you see this video. I look so grainy, but you know what? I'm going to keep thugging it out. But, you know, we're here, lockdown season, we're potting. No one's taking food off our table. We're coming after you. Every podcaster out there,
You just sending shots to. Okay.
yo, we're coming for you. This is what
Okay.
Jordan did when he's competitive, right? He'd make up stories just to get himself gassed up, man. So that's what I'm doing. But yo, Al, how are you doing, man? How's Alex Witter, man? How's your week been?
Man, it's been a very eventful week, most definitely. I gotta tell you something. It's funny. We talked about calendars
Oh
last
no
pod or a few
way!
pods back.
Someone
Um
disrespected the Witter? Talk to me.
nah, honestly, I disrespected somebody else's calendar, and I'm like, as that clip is going around, I'm like, man, I gotta come clean and
Did you feel
tell
like a
you about
fraud?
like,
I don't
bruh.
know what you
I
did.
didn't feel like a fraud, but I definitely hit like an all time low. You
Damn, it was a
know, I
desperate.
hit like, nah, I wasn't desperate, but I hit an all time low. I was embarrassed.
Jeez.
So, bro, I was double booked for a meeting, man, and I pulled up to the meeting like 45 minutes late.
What?
Yeah,
For
bro.
oh my god, that
Bro,
is
it was my all time low.
in Swahili. Like when you say someone disrespects you like that, they say onanionyesha madarao, right? So madarao means like you're showing me mad disrespect. Like it's like the equation of you're trying to spit on my face. When
Yeah,
you when you pull stunts like that, it's like you do not care who I am, the time I have. It's like you think you can still walk and prance in here. That's what it is, right? So
yeah.
so what
It
happened?
was,
45 minutes, man. That's huge.
bro. It was. I totally blanked on the meeting, and it was just like my worst thing. I'm like, saying that begrudgingly, just admitting it. But I'm
Hmm.
just being transparent with y'all and transparent with the audience.
Yeah.
That was my worst, like my all time low, bro. The girl that I had the meeting with was so vexed. She started like changing her background. Like she started changing her Zoom background repeatedly, and she's like, just like pushing the button over and over and over and over and over.
Why is she
It
changing her
was it was
background?
because she didn't know how to place her energy, so she was so flustered and angry that she didn't know where to place her energy. So she just started like pushing buttons and changing her background to like put her energy somewhere as
Wow.
quick as she could, because it was so bad, bro.
Did you at least address it like you was like what?
Of course, that was the first thing I did. You know what I'm saying? Um, I was trying. I didn't lie. I just came out with it. You know what I'm saying? And that was the worst. At that point, I was like, all right. This is my all time low of like calendar mess ups. You know what I'm
Yeah, that's a
saying?
massive brain fart.
Yeah, man, that was probably that's like my worst ever. And that'll never happen again,
What was it? Was
ever
it
in
was it at
life.
least a productive meeting?
After that, yeah, it was a productive meeting for sure, without a doubt. After it was a productive meeting, but still, man, yeah, it was just, yeah, I was like, to this day, like, I haven't talked to the girl too. Like, it's been bad. She was really mad. It was really bad, bro.
Send her like a hey here's
I
a
did that. I did that too. I did that. But like aside from that, there hasn't been anything.
so you send her like a
You know what
gift
I'm
card or
saying?
something like that, or
I sent her like just like a note saying like, "Hey, I really apologize. What I want to do is like maybe like get her a gift card to like a massage time, like buy back her time. You know what I'm
yeah, for
saying?
sure.
As a way to say, my apologies, because there's no reconciliation with that. You can't buy back time, like literally. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
Like, so that was
Yeah, man, especially just
my
sitting there
worst.
dormant with no like you're just waiting.
That was my worst ever, man. Like, y'all, please don't judge me. Like, I'm saying this as like my worst moment thing. I know someone out there is like, yo, Alex is a horrible person. Y'all don't judge me, y'all.
You know the funny
Uh,
thing
uh,
is, guys, it's like so that the clip Alex is talking about. If you don't follow us on social media, we dropped one reel where it talks about what is calendar etiquette, and Alex was like the star of the reel talking about calendar and giving tips and how to book meetings, discovery calls. Hey, 15 minutes. Hey, 2 to 3 is my sweet spot. He's like, yo, if you book for 5 o'clock in the evening, it's just like disrespect. I mean, Alex gave it. Like, he legit bodied that reel.
Yeah, most definitely. So I can only imagine her seeing that reel or something like that, and then being like, "Is this the same dude
Yeah.
who just did this to me? Are you kidding? Hey yo!" And cussing me off in their Slack channel, something like that.
Oh man,
You know what I'm
that
saying?
looks
So
so
like,
bad. That looks so
yeah,
bad.
exactly, man. And I just feel like a nincompoop for every time I see that. I'm like, oh man, like I'm not perfect at all. I don't claim to be.
Hmm.
That was like my worst, like, you know.
It's one of
But
those, man.
yeah. And I have a story for you, by the way, bro. I have a story for
What's
you.
up? What's up? What's up?
So, man, New Year's Day. We haven't talked about it in a while. So,
New Year's,
New,
I did my thing. New Year's, was at Q Dog's crib celebrating.
mhm.
Yeah, but I know you did like a couples thing. You did, you and the missus went to a couples thing with other people
Yeah,
and celebrated.
e- exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. Had a real low key, very quiet, not like very safe event.
Hmm.
And I actually bumped into somebody I used to play soccer with as a kid,
Hmm.
and when I was a kid, I actually moved from my neighborhood to like Oshawa, from like Scarborough to Oshawa, which is like, yeah, which is outside of the usual suburb, or not suburb, but the town, the city that Scarborough is.
Hmm.
So um, after moving there, I found out that my coach had got arrested. My coach had got arrested, and from what I was told, he was selling weed. You know, so for all these years, I was like, damn, my coach got arrested, and he got deported as well.
For
So my
selling
team
weed?
was like, for selling weed.
Oh my God.
So I was like, damn, like our whole and this is the team that I've been playing with since I was like 6 years old. Like the guy I met, we've been playing soccer together since we were like 6, 7, around them times. You get me?
Yeah, young you days,
So
man.
young youth days to like 13, 14. So like this is like prime, autopsy
Development.
years.
Exactly.
Exact. So I'm seeing this. I'm like, damn, he got deported. That's crazy, And through that, I had like a whole grudge against the weed when it became illegal and the industry that's developed today, because this whole thing has had him get sent back, and there it is flourishing, no problem at all, you
Hmm.
know. So I meet him and I talk to him like, man, isn't it crazy what happened to Coach? And he's like, yeah, man, it's crazy. And just offer weed. Then he looks at me and he's like, weed. And then I was like, yeah, man, weed. And he was like,
He starts laughing in
Alex.
your face. He's like, yo,
He's
weed?
like, Alex. He's like, it wasn't just weed, bro. He was doing some heavy stuff. Then I was like, what? Are you kidding me? And then he was like, yo, do you remember people pulling up and pulling away during practice? And I was like, holy smokes, no.
Wow.
And I started remembering people like pulling up and pulling away. Then he was like, yeah, remember our jerseys? How we always had great jerseys? And I was like, no. Like, do you remember his house when we went to his house to watch the World Cup? I'm like, his house was amazing. And I'm literally like piecing it together piece by piece. And I'm like, holy smokes.
Yeah.
My coach was heavy in the streets. My coach was an entrepreneur.
He's moving. He's
Oh,
moving
he was
units.
a pharmacist, bro. He was moving units, man. And there was even little things that I noticed that, like, we had like a lot of people that would gather around in games. It'd be like a festive event. Like people would come out and they'd be like selling fish, and like having patties at the side of the games, and like it would be like an event at the soccer game. This is like a local soccer game at the park, but like there's like 50, 60 people there. And I'm
It
like,
feels like very like culturally infused. It's like back home. Everyone comes through, You bring the barbecue, you bring the grill. You got someone there like burning the corn. The corn with like the pepper on top. It's just like so seasoned. You
Exactly.
got like the bread that they're grilling in Nairobi. We call it mandazi, right? You just you just
Hmm.
buy like $1, you get two. Someone selling some tea on the side, man. It's just like that is home, bro. That is what culture is, And then you got the kids playing around. When I want to settle down later on, bro, that's the image I have. It's just like that's what living on top is like. Just people doing their thing, being happy with what they got.
Most definitely. And then I deeped. I was like, oh, that was him laundering money. That
Wow. Bro, how like were you that sheltered that like how did your friend connect the dots? Like I don't know how he found out, and I want to ask you follow up to that is were you aloof or did your mom legit like just continue telling you it was weed, it was weed, it was weed, just so you don't get a tainted image of what your coach was like as he was coaching you? Maybe he was a great man and your mom didn't want to tell you all the details, so you just don't, wow, he was like that, and not expose you to what hard drugs are. Like weed is like the bare minimum she can tell you, like as, hey, weed can send you back home to wherever it is. Weed can send you back home to Jamaica. Do you think that's what was happening in your life at the time?
no, I think she wasn't aware either.
She wasn't aware.
Because I don't think she was aware either. I think they were trying to just like hush hush it,
Hmm.
you know. So they just said it was weed, but nah, everyone else knew. Like I think if I was to ask any other player, they'd be like, "Yeah, it was this." Like I don't think she was trying to like shelter me and keep me inside or anything like that. I think that's what they just told her, and then she ran with it, you know. Because I actually asked her. I followed up with her and I was like, "Did you know this?" And she was like, "No, I did. I had no idea he was doing hard stuff." So yeah, it was definitely them trying to like hush hush it and stuff. So
Damn,
yeah,
bro. So all these
yeah,
years you've been thinking, you've been just holding in this rage, seeing all these kids, they sell weed, they got a slap on the wrist, and your coach, your soccer coach, got sent back home.
exactly. And I'm looking at all these weed stores across Toronto. I'm looking at Queen Street, how it's always like, look at this weed store. How it's such a,
Bro,
you know,
and you've been wanting to get someone on the pod to talk about cannabis and building up that brand, building a cannabis cannabis brand. I didn't know you've been holding in this rage, man. You really know how to hold in your frustrations, then, man, because you've never voiced
man.
this out before.
It helps the people out. You know, if it helps people, then screw what I think and like my personal grievances. It
Yeah,
helps people get to the next stage in their life. So it's better to have that than to have personal grievances to
just holding it
hold
in
people
all
from.
these years, man. So you
Yeah,
got to be happy at
that
some
doesn't.
point too, man. You can't be just be cheesed all the time. Oh man, can't believe they did him wrong, right? And you're a young youth at the time, man. You don't know what else he was doing on the side too. But for what you did know, I'd be pissed too, especially if it's someone close to me who is showing me. When you're that age, playing sports, it's more than playing sports. It's learning how to be a team player, learning how to be disciplined, learning how to show up, learning how to do a routine and
Show
giving
up
your
on time.
effort, right? And these are the people showing up on time, not 45 minutes late for practice, bro.
Yeah, yeah,
you
yeah.
know, so these are people who like are molders of like young men, young boys at that time. So to see someone who I can put myself in that position, be like, wow, that's coach. He's helping me like learn. He's putting me on game. And then growing up, knowing he got sent home for weed, and then I'm here in my 20s. I'm seeing all these guys get a slap on the wrist. All these rich families, their sons who go to Stanford get caught selling weed. Their daddy has hookups. He can get them out of anything. I'd be angry too, man. You know what I'm saying?
Most, yeah, exactly. I gotta stop saying most definitely,
Most
but
definitely. Sound like a New
most
Yorker, man.
definitely,
What a New York.
yeah, not
I'm cheap. They don't say. They say B a lot. They say B. They
B, yeah,
say
B, son.
sun. Let's go have fun in the sun, son. They also say
Oh no! Don't do that again. Don't do that ever again.
that
No,
joke, guys.
no, no,
That
no.
joke. That joke.
Yeah, but let's get into the topic at hand. We came to talk about the top marketing things, and you definitely got carried away a bit. I hope y'all enjoyed that segment. And now let's get into some of the top marketing trends of 2022. We prepared a little list for y'all that I think is going to take over in 2022, and that's not NFTs and Web3,
NFTs,
because
man, all this
I
stuff,
think
man. It's like NFTs is what AI was in 2013, bro. Remember how everyone's like, yeah, it's AI, it's AI. You can get AI. It's like, yeah, now it's just like an NFT, Web3, bro, man. Like entrepreneurship sometimes pisses me off, bro. Like honestly, like why did I even decide this
buzzwords,
life, bro?
buzzwords.
Buzzwords,
Oh,
man, buzzwords. It's so frustrating to listen to because if you're in the game for true, honest game, I'm like, I want to build a business to turn a profit and just, serve people, right? But not to create a brand about talking about entrepreneurship. And those are the type of people who like, I mean, look at what we're doing, right? We've built a brand to talk about entrepreneurship, but there's certain guys on Twitter who like are always on like this new stuff, but you can just tell that it's what's glitz and glamoury that is being spoken about, and they build a brand around that particular topic at that time. They build like an expertise around it, but you're like, bro, you're not even about this life from even before it's popping. It's the people who start being about something once it's popping. Those are the people like I'm like, man, are you really in it, or are you just really in it because it's hot now and you want to like be voice of authority behind this particular thing? Do you understand what I'm saying?
most definitely. People that, damn it, people that actually want to
Most
ride the
definitely.
wave.
Yep.
Yeah, people that actually want to ride the wave and not be at the shore.
Yeah.
That's the difference, really. It's the nature of anything. When a team starts winning, people are going to start cheering for it, and people are going to say that they've always been there when they haven't been. That's the nature of the game,
Yeah.
and that's why there's a lot of new specialists coming out, new experts coming out. But that's how it happens. And sometimes it is organic. Like when I started doing marketing on Instagram and Facebook, it was organic. I just fell into it through organically working with one person, then one person turned into two, and then it just naturally flourished. But sometimes, if I'm an artist, say if I'm Lloyd, for example, shout out to Lloyd, and I put my art on as out, I put my art out as an NFT,
Mm-hmm.
pardon me, and then I get people starting to message me, hey, how do you do that? And it starts to organically build. Even though it's trendy, he could still be consider himself an expert eventually, maybe like 2-3 years once he's served a various amount of people. And that brings me to the question: at what point can you really consider yourself an expert?
I think you're an expert if, like, for me, experts always have some sort of credentials in some field that are tied to that. Like, you need some form base of like foundations of credentials. Like, let's say if you are in engineering, it's like, hey, if you didn't go to university, it's like, I have certifications that prove this, and that. I have been in this field for X amount of years. Like 2 years, that's still amateur to me. 5 years, that is like, okay, you're an intermediate. 10 plus years, that means you are a master of your craft. Like you're an expert at what you do because you have results, you have a track record, and you have people who can vouch for you. That to me is what an expert is. It's like, hey, you have the credence to what you're saying, you have the longevity, and you have people who back everything that you're saying. But if you're self-proclaimed expert, it's so hard to take in what you're what you're saying as true. So those are the things I look for to see if you're actually an expert into what you're saying.
Yeah, nah, beautifully said. At first, I thought you were saying once you get like a credential, like once you go to school, I was like, school, that's it?
No, no.
I was like, oh my, all right, yeah, nah, you killed that. That's for real. What the being able to be vouched for, having credit by actually doing the thing. That's what we're all about, right?
Mm-hmm.
So now let's get back into. We just got off topic. Let's get it back into what we think are some of the top trends that's going to be popping in 2022. So number one that I have here is UGC, user generated content. This has been trending for a long time, but I think it's going to be even stronger in 2022.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason why is because of just the amount of ads that's going on right now in terms of being force fed ads from every aspect on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, wherever you go, is going to be is a surplus of ads. So having someone that actually speaks to you from a person to person perspective is going to feel a lot more real than a produced ad. And I think that's just going to skyrocket in 2022, especially with how TikTok is booming. And one thing as well I want to mention is that from my experience running ads, the UGCs, the TikToks, those are the new form of communication. Like, it's no longer just like having a picture with copy on top of it. It's no longer just having a highly produced video. It's using the TikTok formula to communicate, using the crazy hooks, all that kind of stuff. That's gonna really get people in.
All right.
You know what I'm saying?
So user generated content, right? You said a couple interesting things here, Alex, right? So what we know of user generated content is things that people who are customers of your business or users of your service, they create content such as videos. It can come in the form of like reviews and etc. to showcase that this service or product that I'm using has like, it does everything it says it does, and I can prove it because I've gone the extra mile to create organic content for myself and I'm putting it out there. And itself, it acts as a marketing strategy for the brand, the more people that do it. Now we're coming into TikTok. TikTok, Instagram Reels, like, vertical video. This is like the new way of actually promoting. So go deeper into TikToks and how user-generated content works for that. Like, what do you mean by TikTok? Because from what everyone knows, it's been that other way of just, hey, let me just create like a review saying how I like this product, or showcasing a video, and then the brand can search the tag of their product and they get the video. What is it about TikTok that can help people stand out by getting user-generated content from there?
The difference is the hook.
The hook.
The difference is the hook.
What is the hook? When you say the hook, what is the hook?
The first 3 seconds of the video, getting someone to decide to pay attention, is the name of the game. That's where TikTok is dominating right now, because they've figured out how to keep people hooked for a longer period of time. So having content that has a highly engaging first 3 seconds is going to dominate. And some examples of that is using the word this, the word if you do this, pushing on specific emotions, using pretty people, of course, is always going to work. So those are some of the tactics that are going to have strong hooks in 2022 and 2023 and going forward. Also, what I'm noticing, though, is that there's also models that's being used. So UGC is so popping that models are faking UGC for brands. So a brand would hire a model to fake like they're a user generating content. Not a influencer, not a creator, a model, plain model that's built to create content that looks like it's user generated to sell ads on TikTok, on Instagram, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
So if someone wants to take advantage of this, you're talking about actually a model. Let's say this is like a pretty girl or a handsome man who's been hired to create user-generated content. Do you feel like it's accessible to the everyday person who has a online store or has a business that sells services outside of like online? Like, go deeper into that, because this is the new barrier of entry, right? If people are looking to get into like that space of creating models, and like not creating models, but using these type of people because they grab attention, as you say, the hook. What is their access point to these people?
Great point. So you can access them on different influencer platforms or creator platforms. You can use Node. Shout out to Node. It's a client of mine.
Shout out to Armin.
Node-app. I think we have Armin on the podcast. There's also Billo. If you're in the state, well, Armin's coming to the States as well. Node's coming to the States. Node's currently in Minnesota. But Billo is another one you can buy content for $50, but I would highly suggest you be careful. I've had some clients have bad experiences with Billo. there's also other marketing agencies that are hiring models to work with them, like Savannah Sanchez, I believe her name is. She goes by the social Savannah. She creates content for brands using, and she has like a arsenal of pretty girls that she
There's a
uses.
roster.
A roster of girls. So she gets like e-commerce products, ships them out to her girls. They create content, and then they ship it back to the owner, or like sends the content back to the owner, and then the owner has that as ads, or she'll run the ads for them.
Yeah,
That's a big game. And even I'm doing that too. Like we're doing that. We did that with Trenzio, a bracelet company. They have some dope bracelets, and that's like the new trend going forward of having user generated content as a strategy and not just something they're trying out. So it's like a two-play thing. It's not even just user generated content. It's almost like faux generated content, because it's actually not an actual user. It's someone like pretending to be a user to give that impression, so people will look at it and think that this is something that they can get. So that's the real difference. It's actors at the end of the day.
yeah, and you also, we're in the process of putting out a video on top 22 side hustles, and that's a great point that you can actually build a roster of talent yourself, and you can be a broker for companies for this talent to create this content for yourself, especially TikTok right now, because TikTok right now is what IG was, I'd say maybe 2014-ish, around there, like where the algorithm is baked nicely right now, where everything the scales can tip to your favor easily. And that's what we're trying to do. It's, we've been putting content out. One thing we're noticing, hey, we'll have like 3,000 views on a video. We'll have 1,000. Okay, what made this video hot? Like, is it the hook? What did we say here that we can replicate and duplicate all the time? And it goes back to what we're, in the top 22 side hustles, which we're dropping, in the near couple weeks. This is a great way to actually get the pool of talent. If you have a group of friends who actually have, good, like they're attractive, conventionally attractive, whether they're a guy or girl, use them and like be in the middle between the company and them, and use this platform that you can master and learn about, and you can build a great business around it.
Most definitely. You can literally get some of your friends together and say, yo, we're going to pitch brands and try to create content for them. Study TikTok, study how Instagram Reels is working, and create a business out of thin air. Literally. People are doing it.
Straight, and thing is, not every mom and pop shop who wants to get into social media knows about TikTok, right? They're not as tech savvy as these young kids in middle school, high school, making these funny videos, and you don't want them getting a share of all the pie, right? If you're a young guy right now, young girl, you're looking to do something in quarantine right now. What do we call it? Quarantine, lockdown right now. We're in lockdown. In Toronto, we're in lockdown right now. If you're listening to this in America or anywhere in the world, we're in lockdown right now. So this is a great way to start building a CRM of businesses around you and saying, hey, how can I keep your business relevant right now, and make content to promote your business that can, hey, potentially get 100,000 views locally. And once things open up, people can come and start trying your business out because you've not been advertising. And with the more advertising we have every single day, you forget about certain things that you used to love, because now you're attracted to the things that you do love. And I noticed that about myself. I'm like, man, I love that restaurant, and I never went to it again because they didn't put me on their email list. The restaurants that I go to a lot, they always put me on their email list, and they send me, hey, we have this offer. So imagine like a small mom and pop shop. There is thousands of restaurants in your neighborhood, and you don't have advertising, you don't have revenue coming in. Go offer them a lesser form of advertising. It was cheaper, but with higher upside, because now everyone's on their phone, because everyone's looking at their phones at home.
Most definitely. And that brings me to the next aspect of the top trends of 2022, which is whitelisting. I'm doing this with a lot of my clients right now. Whitelisting is extremely popular. It's very similar to UGC, but what it is using an influencer or creator's account to have that ad go through their account instead of the brands, because people naturally react better to other people. Like I said, the hook is what the game is now. So in those first 3 seconds, if you look at it and you see, hey, this is that girl I love on Instagram, this is that girl I love on TikTok, you're more likely to stop and engage with that piece of content. And this is the new game. So on Instagram, whitelisting is branded content, paid partnerships. You see that tick on your Instagram or that little label on your Instagram posts. And on TikTok is Spark Ads. This is trending for the exact reason I just said, and brands are going ape on this. This is one thing that you can leverage, even if you're using it with one of your influencer friends. If you're a small brand just starting up, this is something that you could easily kill by having one of your friends tag you as a paid partnership, and then you can go in and put 200, 300, 2,000, 5,000 and scale up with ads that way. So whitelisting is huge. But another strategy that I've seen with other companies is whitelisting editorial content. And I actually saw this when I was working at a media company. What people were doing is you can work with a media company that writes articles, and you can connect in the back end their pixel. So let's say I'm advertising notebooks. I can actually work with, let's say, Forbes to say top productivity tools in 2022. And you and Forbes can connect pixels, so there'll be a clear funnel of, hey, this notebook does XYZ better than the rest, and people can come through that Forbes article that's whitelisted on Instagram and Facebook to Forbes to your website. It's like a super hack that a lot of people aren't really paying attention to, and it really makes a difference. I've seen it actually in action, and it's actually in action, and it's the truth. It's one thing, because we naturally trust Forbes, National Post, Toronto Star, whatever Herald. We always trust those news sources. But the truth of the matter is those are paid platforms. People work with them on a media basis. So you can easily reach out to their sales team and work with them to get business done. So that's a little white hat trick that I see flourishing in 2022, because a lot of people trust these people more than they trust the influencer too.
Yeah, I've been seeing a lot of those in paid partnership with so-and-so. Would you consider that, whenever you make content and then you add a collaborator, is that whitelisting on, let's say, when you're on Instagram?
No,
It's not whitelisting.
Really. That's not whitelisting, because you're not like boosting that. You're not actually putting money behind that. It's more so just like an organic post. It's just smart collaborating is what it is. Whitelisting is when you see like let's say XOReni has a deal with Neo Financial. So what they do is XOReni has a post go out on her Instagram feed, and she marks that branded content, and then Neo Financial goes into Instagram's or Facebook ads manager and will see her post and will tick it off, and then that will get the money from Neo Financial all into Alberta, Vancouver, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So it looks like it's XOReni post, but in actuality, it's a Neo Financial ad. But people will see XOReni, oh, look at this pretty black girl talking about finances, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And then they go into Neo Financial. That's the move.
That's the move. Got you.
Yeah. So then the two moves there is editorial and influencer.
And what about lookalike audiences for whitelisting? Can you create lookalike audiences from that?
Yeah, you can. Yeah. You can see all the information, all the data, and you can see who engaged with that, and create a lookalike audience of whoever engaged with that. And you can even retarget people who have engaged with that post. So it's a lot more. It's very strategic when it comes to using that as ads, man.
So you're double dipping into the influencers audience, and then building and growing from their audience to like get more fans. And
yeah, and the influencer can get a W from that too, so to cut you off a bit, because they'll grow sometimes. Like it happened with Steph and Den, where I think Wealth Simple was advertising, and they like snapped and like went crazy. Do you remember when Wealth Simple was going crazy on their ad? Yeah. Like they had their ad up on the homepage for a minute, and it was just like giving them tons of visibility. So it can work for influencer as well. And I've heard of influencers actually reaching out and asking, yo, what did you do? Because my Instagram is going crazy right now. I want to do that. I'll put some money behind myself too. Like, what were your targeting metrics? Like, I want to see how you did that. So it's a strategic move on both ends, because y'all can both win from it. The thing is too, though, if you're an influencer listening, make sure you have negotiate accordingly for that. If they are going to do that, it's important to license that out, because they could just go and do that forever and ever and ever. And it's up to you to negotiate that. You don't get what you're worth. You get what you negotiate.
For real.
You don't get what you're worth. You get what you negotiate. So let's keep it pushing. The next one that I see blowing up in 2022 is what we're doing right now: video podcasting, audio and visual. 2022 marks the first year that YouTube has two competitors in the marketplace: TikTok and Spotify. TikTok and Spotify. Well, Netflix is there too, of course, but TikTok and Spotify are growing significantly right now. I don't know if you noticed this, bro. What do you say?
I was actually looking at it. So if you look at streaming services, like Spotify has, this is a 2019 data, but it's probably like bigger now. But Spotify has Spotify is bodying Apple Music, Pandora, Amazon Prime Music. They are like a behemoth of a platform right now. And they've just launched video about a month and a half ago for podcasters for video. Like, just take that in. And now with a lot more access to platforms such as Anchor, where if you can become, it's like Anchor's like the new YouTube for podcasters right now. Because you get the video, you get distribution, and you get video access to the biggest platform on Spotify. That is so powerful. And if you can kill it on that, it's like, when you see opportunity and you're like, wow, like there's so much opportunity, where you just feel overwhelmed because you're like, wow, like it's time to go, it's time to move, it's time to build, it's time to create. That is what Spotify is right now. Spotify is a goldmine with every move that they're doing and giving access to content creators, especially audio creators right now, because they're giving you all the tools.
So with Spotify, they're showing one big thing, that time on the app is everything. And that's why a lot of people are moving towards podcasts. Right now, Facebook is emailing us almost every other day asking us to put our RSS feed into Facebook. The reason why is because when someone stays on the platform, they can continuously serve them ads, and that increases the revenue per user. And that is what the game really is, right? So what I expect in 2022, you're going to see Netflix come out with more podcasts. You're going to see Google start getting into the podcast game. You're going to see all the streaming platforms get into the podcast game. Stitcher's out here as well. So there's a lot of players in this game, and it's just going to get stronger and stronger. Amazon as well. I just see it growing significantly. Also, there's a lot of plays that's happening with podcasts, and I find it so interesting. Like, one play I want to talk to you about, which I found so interesting. I'm not sure if you remember this, but there's a guy, Adam, I can't remember, I think Adam Gerard or Gerard Adams. Yeah. I think that's his name. So he has a podcast called Leaders Create Leaders, right? And he created the exact same content and licensed it out to Entrepreneur on YouTube. So literally on the exact same platform, the exact same content, just got literally copied and pasted it and he made it back.
Wow.
It's insane. What Carl Eden was talking to us about in his pod was super significant in what's going on right now, is that the content game is literally just having ownership in the content to license it out to other platforms. So that's a big aspect of it. And then, of course, having the audience so you can monetize through sponsorships, paid products, et cetera. And I see that blowing up heavily. Branded content is another one, like with what Viv's doing with Amex. Branded podcasts are really blowing up. Intuit's in the game as well with what they're doing with Fred Van Vliet. Shout out to Fred. Like Fred's listening for sure. So
Bet on yourself, Fred.
Bet on yourself.
Yeah, man.
So that's huge, bro. Anything you want to add before I move on?
Yeah, I was gonna add a lot more about Spotify in regards to like what they're doing. So if you look at Spotify, you know, they're the leading global platform for music and podcast consumption, and a fourth of their total revenue comes from programmatic ads. So they shared that their listeners' daily life is surrounded by audio streaming. So this is through during gaming, in the car, mobile, desktop, smart TV, and tablet and other connected devices. So one thing that they're sharing is that 18% of adults have been listening to more podcasts since the pandemic. And, you know, as this trend continues, like from working from home and social distancing, audio streaming is going to become more popular with time. And they're predicting that the total ad spend on podcasts will surpass $2 billion in 2023.
Insane.
Yeah.
Insane. Take this stat in. Right now, according to Nielsen, 50% of all homes are podcast fans. That is over 60 million homes right now.
50%.
50% of all homes in America are podcast fans.
Well, you know what I want to know is when they're doing that study, what questions are they asking to quantify a fan? Are they just asking, have you listened to a podcast? Yes. Are you a fan of a podcast? Yes. But we don't know how repeat users they are and what genres are people most fan of. You know, one thing I hear a lot in just social settings is people love true crime podcasts because the experience you get from listening to true crime as you're walking through the day, if you're on the subway or the streetcar, is it's like an immersive experience because it actually triggers a lot of your senses and you actually can be more visual as the storytelling goes on. So it's like walking, like listening to a movie throughout the day. And that's why people are loving them so much because it hinges a lot on suspense as you're just maneuvering around. It keeps you engaged. You know, sometimes you can hear the same song over and over. How many more times are you going to listen to Certified Lover Boy? You know what I'm saying? Like, how many more times are you going to listen to the same tracks as you're maneuvering through Union Station? So that's why a lot of these podcasts, especially true crime, are fans. So that's what I want to know is within that study of 50%, because that's a huge number of 60 million homes. What questions are they asking to quantify a fan of a podcast?
You know what I noticed about the true crime podcast is that it's always girls. Like
a lot of girls.
A lot of girls love the true crime podcast, and a lot of like girls who have nothing to do with crime at all.
Yeah,
it's like the most delicate, light. What podcast you listen to? Oh, you know, true crime, homicidal maniacs.
Oh man,
you know. So let's keep it pushing. The next trend I see is actually pivots right off of video podcast, and that's video podcast ads. This is something I see blowing up in 2022, and that's because of the ease of implementation. Production quality levels are going to be at an all-time low, and that's because of the ease of working with creators to get content that they can monetize on different platforms. And the reason why I'm specifically highlighting video podcasts instead of just having that in video podcast before is because it's a totally different strategy for advertisers, for entrepreneurs that are looking to get their word out. If you're like a SaaS startup and you're looking to have your message blown out, you can literally use one video podcast that goes on a multitude of platforms. For example, if I'm a regular creator, you can have that piece of content go across Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, but with a video podcaster, you can have all those platforms and then include Spotify ads, podcast pre-roll ads, SoundCloud ads, and other ad inserted platforms, all in with one piece of content. That's the difference. That's like mind blowing. And as well as you can leverage that creator's likeness in that way once it's negotiated properly and that influencer gets paid. Once that influencer gets paid, and once that influencer gets paid, you get what I'm saying? Do you think that there's something that can beat that right now in the market? Podcast video ads?
You know, the thing about podcast video ads, it's like if I'm watching a podcast video ad, that means I'm an engaged listener and viewer. If I'm gonna, for example, like a Rogan episode, I was watching the, 2 episodes with the two doctors he brought on, and I watched the entire episode. I was like at work on my laptop. I was watching Spotify on the side. Then when I was in bed, I was on the Spotify app and I was watching it. So the thing about it is that it allows the user to be prolonged over a 2-3 hour period, engaged listening to it, and they can actually recall the ad that they listened to and watched much better than, let's say, if I saw an ad on Facebook repeatedly. For example, I remember all the ads I heard in Joe Rogan's podcast. I vaguely remember them. I won't say succinctly, but if I hear the name, oh yeah, like I remember I heard that very clear on Joe Rogan and everything like that. So I can't really think of anything better than what you can hear on these ads, like audio ads, because I'm there engaged as a listener for hours, and it's the perfect time to actually listen to Joe Rogan or any other podcaster say, this is this product, you should use it. And if I'm a fan of Joe, I'm definitely gonna go click on his link and pay for the product or try it out.
Yeah. On Spotify, I'm a bit critical of their ads because I can tell it's like
You think it's forced?
A bit, because it's not really that. It's not a clear match. Like a lot of Joe Rogan's audience, like his predominant audience is 24-year-old males. That's the average listener, and there'll be like a Dawn ad, and I'm like, bruh, this is so far off. Like this is where what's that blue pill? Not Viagra. The new Viagra.
Blue Chew.
You know what I'm saying?
Or Roman. Get
Roman. That's where that needs to be. You know what I'm saying? That's an on-brand ad.
The mid 20 Viagra, bro. Like I never thought I'd see the day. I never knew like young guys have erectile dysfunctions.
They don't have erectile dysfunction. They have porn addictions.
That's it. Mm-hmm. Guys, don't watch porn, man. That stuff is bad for you.
Facts.
So these guys are capitalizing on these young guys. Man, that's the perfect ad to put in. Like, especially guys like Rogan, who are talking about the stuff he talks about, like being efficient, getting some extra leg on certain things. Man, that's a perfect ad slot for a brand like that.
Most, without a doubt.
Most definitely.
Oh,
Alex.
my G. I'm getting rid of it. I am nixing it from
definitely.
my ethos. I'm getting out of
Who's that rapper that says most definitely?
Rick Ross. Most definitely.
I was thinking of about Chameleonaire, man. Most definitely. No, it's not.
Nah.
Is it T.I.?
Nah, it's Rick Ross. That's what Rick Ross says all the time. He used to be most definitely, that's how he goes. Like, most definitely,
Most definitely.
As a boss, you just have to make the right move.
You gotta get the right move. You gotta get your partners. You gotta, if I'm sure I'm a boss, I gotta wake up in the morning ready to get it. You feel me?
Oh my gosh.
Man. He had MTV at his crib, right? And he's telling this story. He's just like, I had MTV at the crib the other day. They're like, yo, Ross, how you get a crib like this with only one album out? I just told him the way I hustle differently. Just film. Bruh. Rick Ross, man.
Right. Yeah, I don't know if you saw this, but he walked out of a podcast. He walked out of the 85 South show. And
he walked out,
bro. That's
very boss,
bro. It wasn't boss at all. I was kind of looking at Rick Ross sideways in this. So
was it bad? Okay, maybe I don't know. Yeah, I don't have the data.
Let me give you the context. So it was 85 South show. He was on there, and he would be, they were chopping it up about regular stuff. All of a sudden he says, "Oh, you mind if I use the bathroom real quick?" He took a real quick bathroom break, and he hops up. He goes to the washroom, and all right, cool. So they're chopping it up, and mind you, they had set up the whole like space for Bel Air, the Rap Snacks, the whatever is everything, and then he all of a sudden just disappears. Like he actually walks. You can actually see him. Like I looked back at it, and you can actually see him in the corner, just like walking off, and then all of a sudden, like the person, like a manager, comes up and is like, "Oh, yo, Rick Ross ain't coming back." And they're like, hold on, what? Rick Ross is coming back, and they had to like remove his stuff and like go start from like ground zero just because he literally just like walked off the set. Yeah, there was no reason why. That's what I was like. I was looking at it confused. Like maybe it was a personal issue or something like that happened, but there was no like. It looked. I don't know what happened. It was just so random. Like he didn't say bye to the guys. It was just like, "I'm out, peace." And I was like, "What happened?" I have no idea. I was looking back. And I was like, "What? What happened here?" But yeah, that was something that stood out recently. That just happened in the culture. Anyways, guys, yeah. Most definitely. Oh, bro. Also,
I gotta go check that out.
Damn. One thing most that was very noteworthy is I Am Athlete. You know that podcast, right?
Oh man, do you want to talk about it here? I'm down to talk.
Maybe we'll drop this as a side conversation.
Yes, let's discuss.
I Am Athlete has broken up, unfortunately. Yeah,
no Channing,
all gone. So it was kind of written in the cards a little bit, that it was happening because you could tell that there was so a little bit of ruffles under the feathers going on amongst the podcast, because you could tell that Brandon was the owner and the other guys were not owners of it. Mm-hmm. And it was a very interesting aspect. Actually, man, it's such a touchy subject to talk about this happening, and we don't have much information. They both gave their own statements about what their own perception of the encounter was. Brandon said it was kind of like a misalignment. It's not the Joe Budden moment, But one thing that was very apparent was once the NASCAR deal happened, a split started to form where Brandon and more people were going towards the I am NASCAR and trying to make the brand bigger, where they were trying to make the brand more smaller, more of like an internal, this is just for the footballer narrative, the athlete narrative, where it felt like Brandon was trying to make it a bigger brand. So it was kind of like a misalignment between the two of them, So it was really interesting seeing how it played out. And, we're not a gossip podcast. We're not here to gossip about what they're doing. We're trying to see lessons that come from the situations like this happening. Because it's not a Joe Budden situation where they're cursing each other out and storming off and stuff like that and saying, if I see you, it's on site or anything like that. It's more so of a misalignment between the two. But I'm curious, man, what did you think about it?
How do I start this, bro? I remember early last year, I'll speak for myself here, but I loved everything I Am Athlete was doing. Loved it. Organic conversations, the caliber of content from a production standpoint was on point. It just felt very organic. Just the guys getting together, talking about real life issues and not afraid to be vulnerable. They had astronomical growth from, I think that was, I'd say around June, around there. They kept putting out content. They just kept going up and up and up. Then there was that one episode with Kyle Busch, the NASCAR driver, and Dale. There's like, the one of the
Bubba
black NASCAR
Wallace.
driver, Bubba
Yeah,
Watson,
something
Bubba
like that.
Wallace, and I was gonna say Bubba
Mhm.
Watson. He's a PGA guy, but Bubba Wallace and then Kyle Busch. I was actually intrigued with those episodes. Like, you know what? This is different. I like how Brandon is showing versatility. Then I started noticing, okay, this is becoming a reoccurring thing on the actual drop date. I was like, okay, I'm not watching this. Then they had the I Am Woman series within the show. I was like, all right, I support this, but it just felt like they were trying to do a lot of different things at once. Then they had the I Am Athlete Miami. They have all these different chapters within the show, but the one cash cow of the show was Fred, Chad Ochocinco, B Marsh, and Freaky Fred all at once, right? And then they'd have the guest. That was just like the golden crew. That was just the golden goose, man. Like they were just eating. That's what got them there. Then they try to mix up all these other things, and they were just alienating their audience over time. And then I noticed, I was like, man, what happened to I Am Athlete? You know what? After they took that break, I never went back. And generally, just because I was just like, man, I don't even know what I'm gonna find. I'm gonna get today. It's like, am I gonna get Brandon? Am I gonna get the women? Am I gonna get NASCAR? And I'm like, you know what, man, I have other things to do. I'm not even gonna go check for them. That's how I felt. So when I saw Pivot come out, I was like, is that Freaky Fred? Is that Channing? Is that
Mhm.
Ryan Clark? This looks interesting. So I go check it out, and I see it's the truth. I was like, oh, did they all leave? Did they all whatever? Then I started doing my research, my investigations, and I found out what happened. And I could see it coming, man. I could see it coming. These other guys were not all about that NASCAR stuff. I just don't even know. It was so the brand did not align with the audience. You go check out the comments. Comments are saying, Brandon, as a sincere viewer and a day one supporter of I Am Athlete and House of Athlete, this is great, but it's alienating the true culture, the true audience who's been here supporting you from the rip. And I felt that comment to the core of like my being. That's what I felt. I just felt Brandon was chasing the bag. It's okay to chase the bag, man, but you gotta understand who's actually watching your stuff and why they actually supported you in the first place. Like if it was the culture, like black men and women watching this show, watching black men be vulnerable and talk about real life stuff that you don't hear anywhere else, and now you're gonna bring about NASCAR? Come on, son. Come on, son.
Honestly,
Alex Witt, like for real, like that's why. And I wish B Marsh the best. Like I want to see I Am Athlete continue growing, but I just can't be a consistent fan, like as much as I was. That's why I was like, man, when Freddie T and all these guys went to the pivot, I was like, wow, like this is what I came to I Am Athlete for, is these combos. So, and bro, I think Fred was just like the nucleus of that group. He had that OG knowledge that he wouldn't say much, but when he speaks, it just
most
it just
definitely.
hits.
And I think that he was actually the first person to make a stand with that podcast, because I noticed that he was the first one to go missing, and oh yeah, Fred's not here today and stuff like that. I noticed that from the jump. Did you deep that?
I booked that early. I was like, oh man, maybe Fred is busy with the kids or something like that. That's what I was thinking, like
Mm-hmm.
maybe family
Mm-hmm.
stuff.
Yeah, man, it's sad, and it's just a lesson on sticking to the core audience. I think, and making sure the nucleus is happy, make sure the family is happy. I think that's the nature of the beast sometimes. And it's interesting is that what I'm noticing from the Joe Budden, from the I Am Athletes, is that the original plan is, hey, we're gonna go do our own thing. We don't need those big corporations telling us what to do. We don't need these corporations telling us to do. And little by little, things start to become kind of like the corporation. Where eventually they're branching out to new ideas where things don't feel aligned, and eventually there's one entity telling the rest what to do. You know, and this is like a reoccurring thing. But hey, listen, we're not saying we're perfect. We're not trying to chastise them. We're just trying to look and learn. And with that being said, let's wrap up the podcast. We've been here for, over an hour. I appreciate you guys listening to us. Anything you want to say before we get out of here?
Yep. No, man, I think we covered a lot of great things. Marketing trends for 2022. You want to do a recap on
Most
that of what
def.
we covered?
Damn it.
Just say
MD.
MD, bro. MD, bro. MD.
So the
MD,
top
bro.
4 things we covered is 1, UGC, 2, white labeling or whitelisting, 3, video podcasting, and 4, video podcast ads. So, we just covered why UGC is blowing up more than ever, the power of whitelisting and getting the hook in. And that's the name of the game now, video podcasting, showing your face on video, leveraging YouTube to grow podcasts, branded content. This the growth. We had different stats like Nielsen saying 50% of all homes are podcast fans. I heard another one actually want to throw in there that there's more fans of podcasts than listeners of than watchers of Netflix right now. I might be butchering that stat, but it's something. This painting the picture of how fast podcasts are growing right now. And lastly, video podcast ads. Go ahead.
I was going to add to that, right? Benefits of audio ads. You get a high targeted audience reach. So your ads will be played to a targeted audience, whether they're at home or on the go. Granular targeting means a better return on ad spend. And then, it's also better to engage your listeners to take actions. And a report here states that audio ads have a 24% higher call rate than traditional display ads. And surveys show that 60% of podcast listeners actually made a purchase after an audio ad. So this means that when people are streaming a playlist or podcast, they're highly engaged. So this is what I was saying earlier, and I wanted to add that stat at the time before we ventured out to talking about something else. And compared to traditional radio ads, audio ads have lower costs, and advertisers can actually attribute listeners to ad spend compared to radio, where you can't actually do that. So with audio ads, you get in-depth data insights for advertisers to understand their campaign results better, and they're also more target specific, which yields a better return to the brand investing. So if you're looking to invest in this is a great way to really understand how, if you're looking to tap into engaged listeners, this is a great way to do it for less money than you would for any other advertising. Not any other advertising, but towards other traditional
advertising. Yeah, it compares to radio most, without a doubt. So with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, after today's podcast, let us know what you think and make sure to rate us a 5-star review if that's what you want on Apple and on Spotify. That makes a big difference. Leave a review, please do. And make sure you shop the merch, hustleovereverything.co. You know what I'm saying?
Yes. And on the website, so it's now the Cozy Pack, we use the code Winter Hustle on Shopify to still get advantage of our deal over the holidays. And you can still get the full set for $100. And it's very cozy. Alex and I are rocking the suit right now, hoodie and sweatpants. Right now it's minus 11 degrees here in Toronto. So ladies, guys, grab a pair and support the cause.
Not just support, but like actually take in that we handpicked these this jogger set. It's super cozy. The cotton is soft, so
slim fit, streamlined, so you're not getting that baggy look to it. It's actually, you can actually go to the grocery store, throw on a coat, what do you call it, pea coat or a bomber, and you still look fly, and you just wear a pair of Air Maxes or some Cortez or some Adidas Yeezys or something that you're rocking, just to go get a sandwich or something. It's a good look, and people will say, hey, is that Hustle Over Everything? Oh yeah, Alex and Noah. And I'm like, yeah, those are my guys. So, and then you tell them, subscribe to them, man, and send a 5-star review, and they're like, aye.
Most definitely.
So you got, by the way, Spotify actually has 5-star rating.
Yeah, I just mentioned rating us on Spotify.
Oh, okay. I thought you said only Apple, man. Maybe I wasn't listening. But yeah, support on Spotify. That's
Without a
where it's
doubt,
at.
guys. The hustle is what you can't control, so control your grind and control your life. I'm Alex.
And I'm Owen
That's the show,
Osinde.
y'all. Peace.
Peace out.